And so it begins with a monument to Atete, the goddess of fertility. The people gather and they pray. They settle down and make their homes here. They learn to create and to craft. People talk and word spreads. More people come. Downriver, another monument to a different god is constructed. More people, more craftsmen. Trade between the people becomes a way of life, and prosperity comes along with it. These are the humble beginnings of a civilization. And so was born the Great Zimbabwe. In the Great Zimbabwe, you will compete with other tribal leaders to create the greatest monuments and to train the best craftsmen in the land. Doing so will grant you victory points, and the first to 20 is the winner. Every round begins with an auction to determine turn order. When making a bid, you will place the cows, the currency in the game, on the placards that are on each player's colors. The bids are evenly dispersed among the placards, and subsequent bids must always be larger than the previous one, continuing where the last player left off. If you don't have enough to bid, or you choose not to, you can pass and move to the last available space on the turn order track. Once turn order is established, the cows on the placards are given to the respective players. In this way, wealth is dispersed from the ones who are rich and have a need to go higher in turn order, and evens out the overall wealth in the game. On your turn, you may do one of 3 actions. The first is erecting a new monument. Every player begins the game with a single monument already on the board, and this action allows you to have more. Simply place a new monument on an empty space that is not adjacent to another monument. This will also increase your score by 1. You could theoretically win the game by simply placing monuments every turn, but you'll almost certainly lose to players who take advantage of Craftsman. To place a Craftsman, you'll need to take an associated technology card if you don't already have one. Doing so not only lets you place the Craftsman on the board, but it also increases your victory point requirement to win the game. And this is a big part of what makes the Great Zimbabwe special. As you choose to gain abilities over the course of the game, you will also increase the amount of points you personally need to win. You're making a bet that the ability you gain is worth more than the extra victory points you now need. But let's get back to the Craftsman. Once you have the technology card, you place the Craftsman on the board within range of the required natural resources. The woodcarver, for example, needs to be within range of some trees. The Craftsman will take those resources and convert them into ritual goods, which can be used by players to upgrade their monuments, which just so happens to be the final action available. Upgrading monuments involves purchasing ritual goods from one of the craftsmen on the board. Monuments can be upgraded to multiple levels, and each level requires more and more distinct ritual goods. To upgrade a level 1 monument, for example, only 1 ritual good is needed. The good needs to come from a craftsman within range of the monument, and it will exhaust one of the natural resources for the remainder of the round. This makes turn order extremely important, as the resources might get used up before you get a chance to use them. You can upgrade multiple monuments on a single turn as long as the ritual goods are available and you have the cows to pay for them. If the monument is just out of reach of the craftsman, you can use other monuments along the way as hubs and jump your way there. Of course, it will cost you even more cows. I've found that upgrading your monuments is the most substantial way of earning victory points, and a network of craftsmen will be created to facilitate it. But unlike a lot of other network making games, you aren't concerned with the exact pathings as you are concerned with the destinations, which makes sense for the setting. There weren't many trains and paved roads on the African plains. Looking at the board at the end of the game can be hard to decipher since there are no lines connecting the various locations. A mental image of spidering pathways is slowly pieced together from round to round, and can only be truly appreciated after witnessing the game play out for yourself. It would be like reading just the last chapter of a book. Sure, you'll know the ending, but the journey is what's important. If this was all there was to the Great Zimbabwe, it would be a really good network and market-making game. But, like any good product, there's more. In addition to everything mentioned previously, you have the option to select a specialist or a god. Doing so grants you a unique and exclusive ability for the rest of the game. These can be really powerful and ensure that the approach you take is substantially different from that of your opponents. But remember, every time you gain an ability, your victory requirement is going to increase. It's not unheard of to be the most powerful player in the game and still lose because your reach exceeded your grasp. Since my first play, I've been smitten by the Great Zimbabwe. From its simple but visually striking design to the narrative of growing tribes, it appeals to the things I like most in games. Every placement, every auction, and every decision has long-lasting ramifications to everyone at the table. You don't exist in a vacuum, and your choices are important. Looking forward to future plays, the modular board has me excited to face the challenges the game sets before me, and the random selection of gods has me excited to face the challenge of my opponents.